Hello and welcome back to the Tottenham Fan Voice Podcast, where today I'm joined by David, Charlie and Dakota to discuss Tottenham's victory at West Brom on Sunday, plus the international break and bits of transfer news that have cropped up in the last couple of days. First of all, Dakota, it's your Tottenham Fan Voice debut. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's good to be on. Good to get to chat with you guys. Excited to make my debut, as you said.
It's excellent to have you on, Dakota. David Harris here as well, a regular on the podcast. How are you, David?
All good, lads. All good. Fresh haircut. Feeling good. 3 points in the bag. All good.
Nothing better. And Charlie as well, a regular here. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Matt. Really happy to be on once again. Always enjoy doing these. Love just talking everything Tottenham Hotspur. So yeah, I'm good. Good, thank you.
Good. It's of course a pleasure to have all of you on. And I suppose we should dive straight into things. As I'm sure everybody knows by now, Tottenham won 1-0 at the Hawthorns on Sunday with Harry Kane scoring a late winner to get the 3 points in that one and put us on top of the table, albeit for a very short period of time. But Charlie, it was that man again. It was Harry Kane. He's showing no signs of slowing down. It was another outstanding performance, even outside of the goal. He was one of the best playmakers on the pitch. How does he keep getting better?
Well, look, it's Harry Kane. What is he? 27 now. He's entering his prime years. These are the prime years, and I think that so far this season, this has been the best football he's played in his Tottenham career so far, without a doubt. I think if he stays injury free, that's the key with him. If he stays injury free, then I think he's going to win the Golden Boot. I'm pretty confident of that if he stays injury free. And I think why not? I might sound silly, but he could be a contender for the Ballon d'Or. I'm not even joking. If he continues the way he is and stays injury free, I think he's just a joy to watch. Just sort of playmaker / striker / defender / midfielder. He can do everything. I don't know if you've seen his defensive stats, but they're actually insane for a striker. But yeah, it's just so enjoyable to watch, and just another player, another bit of quality to step up and get us all 3 points in the bag. Yeah, it was amazing moment.
Yeah, it was brilliant, and I'm sure that we all struggled to control ourselves when that winner went in. But David, we heard from Mourinho when we brought in Carlos Vinicius that we will get to see the two of them play together, and we did for the first time on Sunday with Vinicius, a late sub, and I suppose you can say in a way that kind of tilted the game in our favour, because Kane kind of dropped into a number 10 position and he managed to pick up pockets of space. He created a few chances, but of course it was him who made that late run into the box to get the winning goal in the end. How optimistic are you about having Vinicius and Kane on the pitch together?
Yeah, look, it was a shrewd move by Mourinho. I suppose if he didn't do it, us fans would have went mad, especially if we would have ended up drawing the game, because you're thinking, like, we need to go for 3 points. I mean, a striker sitting on the bench. We brought him in for a reason and we didn't bring him on. So it was a good move by Mourinho. Kane, it's great to be able to play two positions. He can play as a number 9, he can play as a number 10, whichever one suits him. So just on Charlie's point about the Ballon d'Or, I think the only reason that might stop him running for the Ballon d'Or is the fact that we're playing Europa League and not Champions League. Mm-hmm. I don't think they look that. I think that would be a major factor in the Ballon d'Or. Let's not forget about Doherty's cross into the box. We've seen that before, Matty, at the Euros, like when Robbie Brady got the header against Italy. That's straight off the fields of Ireland. We've no flat surfaces or flat pitches over here. It's all bobbles and dips and uphills, sideways, slants, everything else. So, yeah, that's straight off the fields of Ireland, I can tell you that now. And to see the passion on Kane's face when he scored and he got that winner knowing we were top of the league, that's what I want to see. And it made it even better as well, the fact that Arsenal ended up bottling the game against Villa. So it's perfect. Yeah, look, I don't think you're going to see too much of Vinicius and Kane up front together. Personally, I think Vinicius be more of a player like you've seen there against West Brom. You'd be thrown on to try and save a game if we need, or if we need to go for a game.
Yeah, definitely. And look, it wasn't just those attacking players that performed well on Sunday, Dakota. I think the defence has massively improved since the game against West Ham. We threw away that 3-goal lead towards the end. Only kept clean sheets now against Burnley and, of course, West Brom on Sunday. Only conceded 1 against Brighton. I think Eric Dyer, for me, was a player that stood out on Sunday. Made some really important clearances, some important interceptions. Who stood out in the defence for you?
Yeah, Dyer definitely showed up big time with that goal line clearance. That is a big moment in the game that kind of maybe gets lost in our brain when we think about that. I thought the fullbacks played really well. I'm a huge fan of Sergio Reguilon, and seeing him just bomb up and down that left side of the pitch is just such an enjoyable thing that I think we've been crying out for from that fullback position that Ben Davies just doesn't offer us. So I like that. Like you said, we've kept a bunch of clean sheets lately. 3 out of our last 6 games have been clean sheets, and definitely seems like that game against West Ham has been a catalyst for that. The boys have. It's almost like a pride thing. I wonder now if we gave up three goals in the last 8 minutes against West Ham. No one is going to do that to us again this season. So they've buckled up their boots and they're putting in some shifts. So I am interested to see what the preferred center back pairing is going to be moving forward, because Toby and Eric Dyer have been holding it down at the back of the line. So early on in Jose Mourinho's tenure, I would say that Davinson Sanchez and Eric Dyer was the preferred center back pairing, but Davinson hasn't made the last 2 Premier League squads and didn't get on the pitch in the Europa League. So there's definitely something to be said about that. And coming back from this international break is going to be something very interesting to pay attention to. And then we can't talk enough about Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. What a signing that guy has been for us.
I just want to touch on the pride thing you said there. That's a great point. That's something I haven't heard any Spurs fans say at all. Look, yeah, there's games before in the past where we've bottled and stuff, and pride has to come into it at some stage, and that's a great point.
Yeah, definitely. And as well, about the centre back pairing, it was Sanchez and Dyer early on, and now Alderweireld is starting to get his place back in the team again. I don't know if it was a question of his future before he signed that new contract, but I think after the international break, I think we might see a bit more of Davinson Sanchez. And I do agree with you; he's definitely not Mourinho's first choice at the moment. But when you look at the fixture list we have after the international break, we've Man City, of course, first game back, and our next 6 after that are Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Crystal Palace, Leicester, and Wolves, which is it's a terrifying prospect. But Davinson Sanchez, with that pace that he has against the front threes of Liverpool and City, and against those other teams as well, I think could be a very important factor for us. And look, David, we spoke a lot about it in all of the podcasts so far, and it's that winning mentality that we in the past have been lacking, and it's been creeping in. And I think the last couple of weeks it has really taken its place in our team and taken a hold on our results, especially as we were talking about there, the turnaround since that West Ham game. Do you think we're continuing to see improvement in that regard under Jose Mourinho's tenure?
Yeah, of course we are. You just have to remember where we were when he took over. It was a depressing time for all Spurs fans. We were sitting here thinking, what's happened to our club? What's happened to this crop of amazing players? But I've been saying it for a long time. I've been calling it out, and it has been the character of the team. It's been pride. It's been getting over the line. And under Mourinho, you can see the winning mentality he's bringing in. Even towards the end of last season, there was a lot of pressure in all the games, and they got the job done in most of them. There was a couple of disappointing games there, the Sheffield United game, the Bournemouth game. Coming into this season, especially after the Everton game, since then, I think you've seen a team with winning mentality. They want to win at all costs. Look, we were disappointed against West Ham, but we've learned a lot of lessons since then. We're starting to keep clean sheets. And this is another factor that Mourinho is drilling into me. You can't just outscore teams. You have to be dirty. You have to be nitty and gritty. You have to be able to keep clean sheets. You have to be cynical when they're on the counter. You have to take yellow cards for the teams. And it looks like a lot of the players are enjoying this as well, to be honest with you. Harry Kane is thriving underneath it. Son is absolutely thriving underneath it. Reguilon is thriving underneath it. Højbjerg, this guy is a rock. And they're all Mourinho players. And this year, I'm telling you, we're going to win something. I'm so confident we're going to win something. And we can also push for the title. I think the next 6 games you said we have coming up, I was looking at the fixtures. I mean, if you're up the league games in between then, I think that's when you're going to see Davinson Sanchez. For me, this guy's days at Tottenham under Mourinho is numbered. I reckon if we get a centre-back in January or the summer, he could go, or else he could make way as part of the deal. Yeah,
definitely. And we'll talk more about those centre-back transfers in a couple of minutes, because there have been a few developments in that in the last couple of days. Now, Dakota, it's a question I ask everyone who comes onto this podcast with regards to us and our chances to win the league, because we've seen Liverpool now without Van Dijk for the majority of the season. Joe Gomez now has suffered an injury, and perhaps that isn't as bad as first feared by Liverpool. But everything seems to be pointing towards a new winner of the title this season. It has the kind of feeling of the Leicester season. Do you think we will see Tottenham lifting the Premier League trophy in May?
Man, what a question. I think you just talked about these next 6 games, and I think these next 6 games are going to tell us whether or not we're going to be 1 in the hunt, or 2 we're gonna win it. I think if we can get through these next 6 games, if we can get to Christmas, we can get to New Year's, and we are still in this same position that we're in, I think we're winning the league, and I think we're winning it by a margin, because all of our tough games are right here in these next 6 weeks, 8 weeks. So if we can get through them and be in this second, third, first position, nobody's going to catch us, I don't think. Jose Mourinho has, and you talked about this winning mentality, and I think that was something that Jose Mourinho had top of his priority list in the summer transfer window. Obviously, you want to get good players in, and we did that. But every single person that he brought in the summer transfer window has won a trophy at some point in their career. And that is something that is an intangible thing. You're not going to see it on the stat sheet necessarily, but that is something that shows up in the locker room. And Joe Hart is the number one piece of that. Joe Hart has not been a good Premier League goalkeeper. He's lost his spot in the England squad pretty much. But here we are paying him $35,000 a week to be a leader in the locker room. And judging off results so far and the mentality that we were seeing from the boys so far, that money is worth every single penny.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I love the optimism.
Every single penny.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think everyone who's on here has said, there is the chance of that. And Charlie, those games after the international break, absolutely crucial. How many points would you say we have to take from those 7 fixtures to be in that position that Dakota's talking about, to be still in the mix come Christmas time?
Well, I think it's tough to say exactly how many points we need to take, because there'll be other results and stuff going on at the same time. So it's kind of hard to say that. But I think, as Dakota said, we have to come out of those fixtures in a good position, still in and around the hunt, still in and around first, second, third. And I think if we do that, then we're well in the mix, 100%. But as you said, these fixtures are so crucial. They're season-defining fixtures. So if I'm putting my neck on the line, I think the next 3, in terms of the Man City game, I think if we don't lose that, I think that will probably won't be too disappointed about that. Chelsea, I think we could all probably take a draw, because we know our record there at Chelsea. It's really poor at Stamford Bridge. So, look, you never know. It's just one of those years, so anything can happen. So, you never know. And then Arsenal, I think we all want to win that game. We all know North London derby. It's a huge game that we have to win. So, look, if we can remain unbeaten, keep the unbeaten streak going, particularly in these next 3, then I think we could we'll be reasonably happy. It's just, I think we have to just not lose ground with the top, and we have to just pick up as many points as possible. And I think, look, against City, we've got a good record in recent games against them. We've shown that we don't fear them. We know how to frustrate them. So I think we definitely have a chance against City. Chelsea possibly as well. You never know. It's one of those years. So I think, look, we could well go and get 9 out of 9 points, and we'd all be in a fantastic position there. But I think, personally, 7 points I'd be very, very happy with if we can get 7.
Yeah, just to add to that, I've seen that question being asked around on social media. I want them all. I want all the points. I'm going to be greedy. I want them all. I personally, I think we'll beat City. I personally think we'll beat City. We've had to look over them over the last few years. Chelsea, I want to beat Chelsea so bad.
Yeah.
Frank Lampard is trying to mimic himself from Mourinho. He tries to play all these mind games in the press, and it just doesn't work for him. He's just looking like a clown. Arsenal, that's a team. If we lose that, I'm going to be so angry. I am going to be so angry.
Yeah.
I really want to. I hate them. I hate them with a passion. I want 9 points. I want them all. 9. I'm going to be so greedy. As a Spurs fan, we have to sit here and say we want them all. Jose Mourinho is going to want them all. Harry Kane's going to want them all. And just put it on the title race. If Paul Merson, that clown on Sky Sports, is doing a U-turn, you know we're in with a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think about the game with Manchester City. I think we are set up in a really good position to put some goals in the back of the net against that team. The way that they play and the way that we like to play is a perfect setup for us, especially if Harry Kane is going to drop deep and just launch balls over the top to Heung-min Son. It's going to be another Southampton all over again. The interesting part that I've been talking about with some of the guys on my podcast is who's going to start in the midfield for the game, which is going to be the most interesting part of really all of these games moving forward, because every single person is going to play a part in these run of games. Even Joe Rodon, the new guy, where everybody's going to get some game time, and so everybody's got to show up.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
I reckon the midfield that you're going to see is going to be Ndombele, Sissoko, and Højbjerg. Sissoko and Højbjerg will do all the hard graft. Ndombele will do a bit of graft as well, but just to break the lines with his passing, personally, that's the three I think you're going to see.
Mm-hmm. That's Dakota. That's a great point you make about the sort of similar style of play that we see with City and what we saw at Southampton, and perhaps that is definitely something we can exploit. It will be, of course, a higher quality opponent, but we broke Southampton down so easily with those with Kane dropping deep and playing that ball in behind to Heung-min's son, and hopefully that is something we can do again. And as David touched on, we have had the better of City to some extent in recent years in the Premier League and even in the Champions League. So I think the confidence going into this game is certainly a lot higher than it's ever been. For a Spurs fan going into a game against another one of the big six teams. But before we get to that game, we have to try and get through the international break unscathed, with England playing 2, possibly 3 games. I'm not entirely sure, but we always get injuries in the international break. It's Tottenham's luck. David, we have to ask, what is the point of an international break at this stage? We saw Domagoj Vida for Croatia last night find out at half-time that he tested positive for coronavirus and he had to be taken off the pitch. We saw the Portugal team in the last international break get a number of positive tests, which threw even Wolves' season or a couple of weeks into doubt. And Luka Milivojevic, now the Crystal Palace captain, has also tested positive. And there's a lot of risk, even just playing domestically. With you see players breaking the coronavirus restrictions. Chelsea players do it quite a bit, but it's just an added risk, and it's a pointless risk for a pointless tournament like the Nations League, which fans even in a normal circumstance don't really see the need of it. So why are players forced to go out and play all across the world?
Look, it's completely pointless. Everyone else is in lockdown, and they're having these players travel all over Europe to play each other. It's a joke, to be honest. We sending our players out there. They're all in a bubble. They're all tested. They're all fine. We could come back. You could have Harry Kane missing. You could have Son missing. You could have Højbjerg missing. You could have Lloris out, all due to coronavirus. Now, whether they actually have it or not, if they test positive, they have to follow the protocol. This international break is an absolute. It's a joke, and it's a joke on the people as well, especially the people that have to endure lockdown and then seeing these people fly around Europe. And make no mistake about it, I bet you the players don't want to be doing it either. I can guarantee you that. Look, I would hope we can just get through this absolute joke of an international break and get all of our squad back fit and healthy, no injuries. I do think if Gareth Bale can get a couple of 90 minutes in him, that'll do him the world of good. What happened with the Croatia player yesterday? I've never seen anything like it. Do you know what I mean? And now the rest of the squad are going on to their next game. But sure, if he's been out there playing, what's to say that all them 22 players out there or the 21 players left out there aren't going to test positive? It's an absolute joke. And as well, even with the England-Iceland game, the fact that England have to forfeit the game, that just says it all. These games just should not be played.
Yeah, I completely agree. And there was the same sort of risk with the Europa League qualifiers and playoffs that we had earlier in the season, whereby if we had been drawn away to certain teams, we would have had to have forfeited that game. And even we played Ludogorets there last Thursday. They now have 12 players actually testing positive for coronavirus. Yet still, you're seeing some of our team traveling around the world, playing against opposition nations, playing with their own teammates, and then they're going to be spread out across the world again. And it's this kind of aspect of players coming from, if you're looking at the German team, the Spanish team, the French team, they've players scattered all around Europe and even across in America and South America as well. So it just seems pointless bringing these all together just to send them back out to their respective countries again. But with regards to injuries, Charlie, we do have a few players actually not travelling for this international break. And how beneficial do you think that could be for them to get a bit of a break and push on into this next phase of the season?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a benefit, no doubt about it. You've got the likes of, I think, Højbjerg, he's missing the first 2 due to suspension, and you've got Steven Bergwijn as well, who pulled out as well. So there's a number of players, Ndombele as well, not called up for the French squad. So there's a number of players there, not many, but there is a few that are going to be remaining at Hotspur away. And it's something that Mourinho is obviously going to relish. He can sort of train with them, work on them, get their fitness better and better, and I think it will do those sort of guys the world of good. As David said, I want to touch on that as well. The internationals, it's dangerous the fact they're going ahead. They shouldn't be going ahead. I said this last time in the last international break. You've got players from all different clubs mixing. It's just not right for me. Like, forget the football side of things. It just doesn't sit right with me how it's going on. But yeah, as you said, Matt, with the players that that haven't been called up. I think Mourinho can work with them tactically, work with them as well. So I think it will benefit quite those sort of guys like Vinicius and Ndombele, Lucas, those guys all staying at home. I think it's a boost for them, hopefully to improve their fitness as well.
Yeah,
just while we're on the international thing, sorry, Matty, what do you make of Mourinho's comments about the Wales coach, who's also an Arsenal coach, taking over, and he has Gareth Bale, Ben Davies, and Roden? What do you make of that?
It's the mind games.
Yeah, I agree. And speaking of mind games, I can't help but wonder if on Steven Bergwijn's way out, if Jose Mourinho didn't say, hey, when you get there and you're doing your fitness test, maybe just don't try super hard so you get sent back here so we can work on some things.
Definitely worked anyway.
I can see that conversation playing out, and it seems like such a Jose Mourinho thing to do.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't surprise me at all. And I think, of course, it is worrying for Gareth Bale because he's had such a poor injury history in recent years. With Ben Davies, I suppose because he plays in two different positions for us, even though he's definitely not the best in both of those, he is a bit more important to the team than people might care to admit. But I think Joe Rodon will be a big concern for us going into this international break because, as Dakota was pointing out, he could have a big part to play for us in the next 2-3 months. But because he's not registered for the Europa League, if he is going to play a part, it will be in the Premier League, and we're playing against the top teams in there. So we need every single player that's going to be in that first team at full fitness. And, if he's going to be, if he picks up a little knock over the international break and then we have to force him into first team football, that could only make things worse. And we've seen that happen with a lot of Tottenham players in the past, with Harry Kane, especially, mainly Pochettino trying to force him back into first team football sooner than needed. And, it's just made the injuries even worse. But I suppose it is a bit of a relief that we are now in a position where we have a much deeper squad than we've had in so long. And, you could probably pick out 2 starting 11s that you would play in every single one of those games from the players that Mourinho does have at his disposal. And those players at his disposal could be increasing come January, because we've had a few updates on some potential transfers for Tottenham in the January window. Now, I made a rookie mistake on Twitter yesterday when I saw people talking about Liverpool signing a new centre-back because of Joe Gomez's injury, and Ozan Kabak was one of the names that was mentioned. And I started slagging their pursuit of him because he plays with Schalke, who conceded 22 goals in 7 games this season. And about half an hour after I posted that on Twitter, these rumours came out that Tottenham could actually be signing Ozan Kabak. Now, there are other centre-backs that are in there. There's, of course, Milan Skriniar. I think that saga will rumble right through January. Liverpool potentially in the mix for that as well. And Jerome Boateng is looking to be on his way out of Bayern Munich as he runs down his contract. Perhaps they could look to cash in on him in January. David, we want Milan Skriniar. We've made that very clear. Ozan Kabak, a backup option. Jerome Boateng, a more experienced player, but definitely way past the prime of his career. Do you think we need to focus on getting Skriniar in, or do you think Kabak and Boateng are good options as well?
No, Skriniar has to be the one for me. Boateng is past it. He's finished. He's over the hill. He's had his time. He's had his glory days. Fair play to him. He's a great defender in his day. But he's not. I don't want a 30-odd-year-old coming into this club and we're paying out big money and having him on a contract there, and he can't even stay fit. Kubak, that's another Davinson Sanchez, is a bit of an unknown quantity, really. Do you know what I mean? We have enough of them in there. We have Roden in there. Again, he's an unknown quantity. People talk about him being class. Personally, I haven't seen too much of him. But look, we'll give the guy a chance. And we have Tanganga, so we don't need Kubak or whatever you want to call him. We need Skriniar. That's the one I called for. I honestly thought they were holding out to announce it on deadline day. It didn't happen, and I really hope they go full for it now in January. Inter a team we've done business with, so there's no reason why they can't get it over the line. Personally, I would offer them Davinson Sanchez as a part of the deal, maybe a bit of cash. If not, there's Danny Rose there as well. That could be done. So it'd be interesting to see. But no, I want the best players at Tottenham, and personally, I think Skriniar will be the player that Mourinho will make Levy go for, because he went and got Gareth Bale, he went and got Højbjerg, all players that Mourinho wanted. So there's no reason to believe that Levy would go behind Mourinho's back and get someone else in. So I'm hoping it's Skriniar.
Are you concerned about Liverpool now apparently being in the race for him as well? Yeah, I think they'd edge it because they're European champions, they're Premier League champions. I think if they were to be interested, they would go and get them. But looking at Klopp's previous transfers, Klopp's not a player that goes for the obvious signing. So Klopp could pull someone in out of left field. And plus, they also have that youngster Williams who stepped up.
So maybe they're not in as bad position as we think. Look, if Liverpool come in, I think he'll pick Liverpool. But if he doesn't and he picks Spurs, it shows that the man wants to be here, and the man wants to be here to win stuff, and he wants to be here under Mourinho. So that'll be a big boost for our club as well.
Yeah. And while Skriniar is a potential incoming Dakota, there's a player who could be leaving. We speak about it every week, and it's Dele Alli. I was interested to hear your take on Ali's situation and where his future might lie.
Yeah, so I've been pretty public about my thoughts on Dele Alli. I said a couple months ago, when he first started missing squads, that he was going to be nowhere near a Premier League squad and was going to get minimal minutes in the Europa League until this stretch of games we're about to go into. And the only reason that I say he's going to play a part in this next stretch of games is because we're going to need simply warm bodies to put on the pitch because of how many games we're going to be playing. So I still don't think he's going to start a lot. I think he's going to have to adapt his game, is the bottom line. And I would love for Dele Alli to be kind of a super sub for us, but the problem with that is he is a player that really needs to play his way into games. He needs the first 20 minutes of a game to kind of get settled and figure out where he's supposed to be and how he's going to play the game. And you just can't do that as a substitute. You need someone like a Lucas Moura who can come on and just run at people and make stuff happen. And Dele's not that guy. I want him to be. I love Dele Alli. I love watching him play football. But I think it's a kind of a perfect storm of terribleness for Dele right now. He's not really fitting into the system that Jose wants to play. He's maybe got a little bit of an ego about him where he hasn't quite set that aside like we saw Tanguy and Ndombele do and say, I'm going to work really hard and get back in the squad and make this happen. So hopefully when his chance does arrive, and I think it will sooner than later, he proves everyone wrong and gets back to the Dele Alli that we love to sing about. Just on the Dele Alli, actually, Matt, I want to ask you a question. I don't know if you've seen his social media post there the other day about getting back fitter and getting back to his best. Now, do you reckon that could be because the transfer window is coming up, or is it generally because we have these big games coming up and he wants to get back in the squad? It could definitely be a bit of both, and it's a great point. We often see players when they're not performing, the rumour mill starts going, and then back in the team. It happened even with Christian Eriksen when Jose Mourinho first came in. He wasn't quite starting him, but then he started getting him in that first team a bit more, and he was just putting him in the shop window. And I'd be concerned if that is what's going on with Dele Alli, because you think, I suppose, the loyalty that was shown to him by the club, not particularly by the coaching staff and stuff that's at the club now, but even before that, the fans have shown a lot of loyalty to him. And I know there's some fans that have turned against him, but the majority of the fans do want him to turn this around at Spurs and do want him to succeed. So I would hope that it is him trying to get back into that starting 11, because as Dakota says, he's going to be needed. Every single player is going to be needed over this next 2 or so months. And if he's going to be in that first team, I think he needs to show publicly that he deserves it rather than just performing in the training room, because fans aren't going to see what happens on that training room. So he needs to make it known. I suppose if he is going to get back there, he needs the fans to know how hard he is working and how much he does want it. And we've seen how in the past how much he loves the club, but the question will always be there when there's a player underperforming and not getting in the squad. Is the love for the club still there? But no matter what it is, it comes down to the question, and Dakota touched on it as well, about him needing to adapt. And I think it's very interesting that when we needed that goal against West Brom on Sunday, we saw Harry Kane sitting in that number 10 role, which I suppose became synonymous with Dele Alli during his prime at Spurs, when he was, Kane's goal, making that late run into the box with the striker kind of making the space. That's where Dele Alli was best at Tottenham. And we've been talking quite a bit about how he will need to change his game. He needs to become a deeper lying midfielder if he does want to get back into the team. But I think it's quite interesting that now we have seen that kind of number 10 role cropping up again. But the thing is, Ali isn't the first choice there anymore. Kane, I would assume, will be the first choice if we're going to have Vinicius up top. But even after that, Lo Celso will be in there before Dele Alli. We've seen Ndombele play a more advanced role this season, so I think he'll be in there ahead of Dele Alli. So even if he doesn't need to adapt, he just needs to improve, and hopefully that post is a sign that he is putting the work in, and that he does want to get back into that first team. But even having said that, potentially we could be signing another player in that position. And Charlie, it's Marcel Sabitzer from RB Leipzig. I'm sure you've seen the rumours. I'm sure a lot of fans remember the name from the
Leipzig knocked us out of the Champions League last season. What do you make of Marcel Sabitzer and the links that have cropped up now?
Look, Marcel Sabitzer, he's a quality player. I'm sure you guys know this. He took us apart in the Champions League in the second leg last year. And look, it's coming from a decently reliable source. And Bold, I think that's how you say it. They're, I think, a tier 2 the Spurs Express gave them. So they're a decent source, to be honest. And I think Sabitzer, as you were saying, 16 goals, 10 assists in all competitions last season. A really, really good midfielder. And I think he's a midfielder. He has aggression. He has a pass on him, and he's very versatile as well. He can play in a deep role with number 10 and also out wide as well. So he'd be, if we were to get him in, he'd be a very good asset without a doubt. And I think, as you said, the report also said £30 million for a player of his quality in this market isn't the most. And look, he's going into the next year, going into the last year of his contract. So I think, for me, if we can get him for a good price, if we're at the front of the queue, like the report does say, then I think it's a no-brainer. I think you have to say at the moment, if you were to pick between him and Dele Alli, I think there's only one winner here, and it's Sabitzer. I think, quality player. He's a player I'd love to see come in and add sort of, I guess you could say, competition in a way for the likes of Ndombele, Lascelles. So someone there that we can rotate with as well, and add that competition. So again, it will be just a really good addition to the squad. As our squad's already big at the moment, I think it will just make it even better.
He'd walk into our first 11. He would. He's quality. He's either going to end up at Bayern, Real Madrid, or Barcelona. He's quality. This guy. As soon as I see him today, I really hope that's a deal.
Yeah. Against us in the Champions League, I really did like the look of him. Even in the first leg, when it was a narrow win for them, I still thought this guy has something about him. He's good. And 26, he's still at a good age. He's going into his prime years. So I think if we can get him for a good price, it's a no-brainer, definitely.
Yeah, and look, January is historically a very difficult window to get big deals done. Tottenham potentially looking at getting 2 big deals done. I personally can't see that happening. I don't think we'll get Sabitzer and Skriniar. But David, if you had to choose between the two of them, I suppose for me, I kind of lean towards Skriniar based on our needs in the team at the moment. What would be your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with you. It'd be Skriniar based on our needs. I think if we get a centre back, we really do. It's not just talk. We really are in there for a chance of a title if we can get Skriniar off the line. Especially if you could put him in beside Dyer, coach him, train him. Do you know what I mean? Just give him little bits of advice and stuff like that. He could be Arne Manjevic. That guy was a beast. And yeah, look, it's out of necessity that we need a centre back. It's maybe definitely the department we overlooked in the summer personally. But look, if we can get it dealt in January and we're still up around the top of the table, him coming in will definitely give us a huge boost, and it'll make us even harder to beat. So I'm all for it.
And another player, Dakota, who could be putting pen to paper is Heung-min's son. We're hearing reports that he's been offered a new contract, potentially for about £200,000 a week, which will put him on parity with Harry Kane as the highest paid player at the club, excluding Gareth Bale. He's technically still on loan. And also, this could be a 6-year deal. How important do you think it could be for Tottenham to tie him down to a long-term contract?
I think it is maybe the most important piece of business that we need to do. Honestly. Skriniar would be a huge get. Sabitzer would be a key addition, but having a player like Heung-min's son in the side, especially playing alongside Harry Kane, is a duo that is going to simply win you no less than 5 games every single season. And to have something like that locked down for the next 6 years is something that you have to take advantage of that. And we know that he's full Spurs. We know that he loves the club. He loves London. And he is a player that could go play for a Barcelona or Madrid or PSG. He's that quality of a player. And arguably the most important player in the squad. Harry Kane's the obvious choice, but I think Heung-min's son would put up a good argument there. Mm-hmm. So I think being able to lock down someone like Son for an extended period of time is a piece of business that absolutely needs to get done yesterday. It's something that is of utmost importance. And we all know that Steve Hitchen hates the January transfer window, but he's going to have to get over it if we're going to be the club that we all want to be and see that we can be. The January transfer window is going to have to be his favorite transfer window.
Not only do we need to sign Son down for just because of his ability alone, but it's the commercial aspect as well.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah.
The money he brings in. The match days, you see all the Asian supporters over there. It's full of them, especially when I was going to Wembley to see Tottenham play. I swear they're all in the club shop buying the jerseys and the merchandise. So it's the Asian market that this guy brings with him. It's the commercial aspect is important to Tottenham as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's a similar sort of thing to what Manchester United did with Ji-sung Park, but with the added benefit that Son is one of the best players in the league. And you make a great point, Dakota, about how he's so important to us, because without him on the last line, Kane wouldn't have the license to drop deep as often as he does, and he wouldn't be able to orchestrate play from there. So there's so many players that are so important to us, and it's those little kind of fine details that a lot of people might miss, that he, not only in his own ability, but what he allows the players around him to do. And just before we go, I want to touch a bit on the young players that we may see feature in the coming weeks, again with this hectic calendar. We have players like Jack Clarke, who's kind of been on the fringes of the first team. He's made a few appearances, made his debut this season. He's playing a bit for the under-23s in the Premier League 2 at the moment. We've Dennis Sirkin, who I know, David, you are a massive fan of. We've Jaffa Tanganga, who's kind of struggled with injury this season and isn't in and around the first team as much as you would like. Then we have players like Harvey White and Jamie Bowden, who haven't made that step into the first team yet, but are playing fantastically with the youth teams. And when they do travel, say, with pre-season for the first team, they play well, and they really do make an impact. So, Charlie, do you think we will see some of these players in the next couple of weeks? And if so, how good do you think they can be for us?
I think there's a chance we'll see them. I think if we can qualify for the Europa League group, if we have like a dead rubber at the end, then maybe potentially we could see them in those games. And as you said, I've been hearing that they have been performing very well in the sort of youth games and stuff. And I think, look, Harvey White, as you said, he's a guy that I like the look of in pre-season. I think has a lot of energy in that midfield. I think he could be a key player that comes through eventually one day. You also said Sirkin as well. David looks like he's a big fan of him. Mourinho seems to really like him. Sirkin was included in a few matchday squads last year. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see them if we do have like a dead rubber or something at the end of the Europa League. And I think, look, hopefully we can start seeing more of our youth players come through, because it's something that we haven't really seen a lot of. If you look at even Arsenal, they've sort of got a lot of their youth players playing in Europa League. So I think it's something, not just Arsenal as well, you've got Chelsea as well, look what they've done and stuff. So I think it's something we'd all love to see, and I'm hoping maybe soon we could potentially see more sort of players coming through and get chances in the first team and stuff.
Yeah, me personally, I'd rather see Harvey White get a chance now instead of Winks. If he's thinking about putting Winks in, I'd love him to put Harvey White in. The chap's a dead ball specialist as well, which is something we're missing.
Oh yeah, free kicks.
So I'd love to see Harvey White being given a chance. I'm a big fan of this guy, and as you know, Sirkin as well. Of course, he's Irish, but he can also be capped by Latvia. I think it's either Latvia or Lithuania. So personally, I hope we get him into the Irish squad and cap him quick, because he's going to make the grade. This guy's good. Jack Clarke, look, the guy has natural talent, but to me, he's too lightweight. He needs to hit the gym.
Yeah, and looking at the fixture squad, I think there's a possibility that we're going to find out if a few of these guys are able to do it on a cold, wet Tuesday night in Stoke.
Well, that'll be a fun one.
I can't wait for that game. Cup quarter final, but chance to go in the semi-finals. It's a game.
That's not going to be as easy as people think. They have the all-round Ireland there. He's a good manager, lads. He gets the goals.
Stoke.
And like, I think personally, I wouldn't say I've forgotten, but it's kind of gone to the back of my mind that we are in a cup quarter final already, and the EFL Cup this season, I think it is only a one-leg semi-final rather than the usual two-leg final. Yep. So already, like, we're three games away from a trophy, and that's what Jose Mourinho likes, especially in his second season. So I think that could be a very positive thing for us, and a very possible thing for us as well. And Dakota as well, a question I ask everyone: what are your expectations and what are your hopes for this season?
Man, we kind of had a discussion about this on Podspur the other day, and the question was, if someone told you that we were going to be where we are right now at this point of the season before it started, what would your reaction be? And for me, I kind of expected us to be right here where we are. Our schedule has been pretty favorable up until this point. But not even that. We're grinding out games, and we're winning games that 8 months ago maybe we wouldn't have won, and that's really something that I like to see moving forward, and that I think kind of changes my expectations a little bit. My expectations was, try in the league to get as high of a position as you can, but really go after the Europa League. And now I think that we've really got a chance to lift more than one trophy this season. And at this point, I'm going to wait until we get through this run of games to say definitely where we're going to finish in the Premier League. But at this point, anything outside of the top four, I think, is a disappointment with the way that we've been playing. The Europa League teams aren't going to roll over for us, but I still think that we've got a really, really good shot at winning that thing. Carabao Cup, we're lifting that. We're lifting that bad boy. It's going to be a sight. It's going to be awesome. And then I would love to see us make a run in the FA Cup. So, lifting at least one trophy, being in the mix for the other three, and getting at least to the Europa League. I'm going to say semifinals. Anything less than that would be pretty disappointing, because there are going to be some really good teams that drop down from the Champions League that we're going to have to run through to get to the final. So lifting a trophy, finishing top four, at least Europa League semifinals, I think is my expectations at this point.
I love
Look, we're a big club. We're a big club now. I don't want any of this more. You see some fans there now with their small club mentality. I wish we were still back at the lane. Look, I love the lane. The lane was always rocking. Great times there, great memories there. We won the best stadiums in the world now. We won the best training complexes in the world. Yep. We won the best managers in the world. There's no reason why we can't attack all these on all fronts, all these trophies, and go and take one. We're a big club now, and I want the big club mentality. I want our fans to start following and believing as well. I don't want any more of this topsy-turvy. We're having like you see there coming up to 80 minutes, you see fans going mad. I want Mourinho out. It's pure nonsense. Yeah. Like, you have to back this guy. We're a big club now, and get behind the team. Like I always say to people, just be patient, because I believe we're going to get over the line now. We're going to get the result. We're what me growing up was watching the likes of United, Arsenal. As much as it kills me to say Arsenal, we're at that level now in the Premier League, and absolutely. There's no reason why we can't win it. We'll go and win all these trophies. No reason why.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to add to what David said as well with the mentality. I think, and we talk about the team having the winning mentality, I think the fans play a big part in that as well. I think us fans and the fan base has to go with a mentality instead of what we've seen in the past, like, oh, we'll probably do this, we'll probably do that. We have to go with a mentality saying, no, we're going to win it. We're not going to mess it up. We're going to win it. I think the fans, again, a massive part in the fans of the club. The club wouldn't be anything without the fans. So I think the fans have to take the winning mentality on board as well. And I think, as David said, the structure of the club, the way the club's going, it's growing over the years. We got the stadium, the training ground. We got a team now. We got a squad that's the best I've seen in years. So, as you said, I think there's a lot to be excited about, definitely, especially this season.
Sorry, speaking about the stadium, actually, I actually have a question for you, Matt, and this is a good one. Do you reckon, the Dortmund wall that we built, do you reckon we're utilising that to its full capacity sound-wise? Because when we had fans in the stadiums, don't get me wrong, for some parts of the game it'd be rocking, and then it goes very quiet as well. What do you make of it? Do you reckon they could do better to put all the singing fans together, and kind of all the chorus fans in another section, or what do you make on this?
I think it was always going to be hard, I suppose, to replicate the atmosphere of White Hart Lane at the new stadium. And I know Daniel Levy did try his hardest with that, and he made the stands very tight to the pitch. He kept everything as compact as he possibly could, I suppose. And the addition of that wall, we know how influential that is for Borussia Dortmund, their yellow wall that they have there. And it was always going to be difficult to make the most out of it. But I think the only way you could really do that and make most noise is put all these ticket holders in that stand, because Charlie, as I'm sure you'll be able to tell us, it's the season ticket holders that do make the most noise at the ground. And I think maybe there'd be some there could be some objections that a lot of fans might prefer to be sitting at the side of the pitch. You get a better view and all that, but when there's is it 70,000 I think in that wall, it's going to be hard
17,000, yes. Bigger than Bournemouth's whole stadium, I remember I read. Bigger than the entire Vitality Stadium, interestingly. So, yeah. And I just want to add a point as well. I think, look, I don't want to sound hypocritical or anything, but last season it was a bit, I guess, because of the season we had last year, I guess that played probably a small part. I guess, you always as fans have to get behind the team and stuff. But I think there were moments last year, like you saw the way the lane was rocking at the start before the Bayern Munich game. I remember it was incredible. And then the way the team just came out and the performance they put in, it was hard to keep it up from the start. And I think that plays a factor. But as I said, you just, as fans, you always have to get behind the team. But I think it was probably a little bit difficult at times last year. And that's a point I just wanted to make as well, regarding.
Well, you heard it here first on Matty Hayes' Tottenham Blog podcast that I'm calling for all fans when they get back into the stadium just to sing for 90 minutes, enjoy it, because there's people like me and Matty and Dakota there. We'd love to be over there every 2 weeks at a home game. It's just not feasible for some of us. So I encourage when all fans get back in, make the most of the 90 minutes, sing, chant, and anytime the opposition team have the ball, boo them. I want them booed. I want it to be a hostile place to come. I want you to greet the team bus with flares and songs, and I want you to start making the most of this. Come on, lads.
Especially if it's the Arsenal, you got to boo them whenever they touch the ball. Right.
I love it, David. That clip will definitely go out on Twitter on its own. Anyway, David, Dakota, Charlie, it's been an absolute pleasure having you all on. Thank you so much for joining me today. To those watching, I just want to remind you, I do have channel memberships active on my channel now, starting at just £1 or €1.99 per month. We've 3 members already with Jeremy Smith, Ratty Star, and Arthur Everett. So if you do want to join those memberships, make sure to go down and click the join button under the video. If you are new to the channel and you have enjoyed this podcast, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll leave Charlie and Dakota's social medias down in the description below, so you can make sure to go and check them out. I can assure you, you won't regret it. To everyone who has watched, as always, thanks for watching.